As a fan, what things can't you stand your favorite artist doing? Lip-syncing might be one, but what if you found out that even your favorite song wasn't actually sung by them? Welcome to the wild story of Milli Vanilli, the 90s pop sensation that skyrocketed to fame. They had the looks, the moves, and the hits, selling millions of records and gaining fans all over the world, but they didn't sing a single note. When the truth came out, their world and their fans fell apart. Milli Vanilli, created by producer Frank Farian in 1988, this German R&B duo, featuring Fab Morvan and Rob Pilatus, their first song, Girl You Know It's True, was a huge hit. It went 6 platinum, dominated the Billboard Top 200 for 7 weeks, stayed in the top 10 for 41 weeks, and was on the charts for 78 weeks in total. The single sold over 46 million copies worldwide, with 6 million in the US alone. In just 8 months, Milli Vanilli racked up 3 more Billboard #1 hits, Baby Don't Forget My Number, Girl I'm Gonna Miss You, and Blame It on the Rain. With their striking looks and style, they became the ultimate MTV stars, winning 3 American Music Awards and even a Grammy. But have you heard of the so-called Grammy curse? It's said that artists who win Best New Artist often struggle afterward. Unfortunately, that curse seemed to catch up with Milli Vanilli. On July 21, 1989, Milli Vanilli's first big public performance took place at a packed theme park in Connecticut, with 80,000 fans cheering. As always, Fab and Rob didn't sing, they just lip-synced. But then, disaster struck, the hard drive glitched, and Girl You Know It's True kept repeating the same line over and over.
Girl, you know it's girl, you know it's girl, you know it's girl, you know it's
Fab froze, panicked, and bolted off the stage. After regrouping, Fab returned to finish the show. About the crowd, they thought it was a live remix and brushed it off. In the pre-social media era, news didn't spread like wildfire, so Milli Vanilli's secret stayed safe. They continued to fake their performances, and no one suspected a thing. But as their fame grew, they did more interviews, and people started asking questions. Why did Rob and Fab have French and German accents when they spoke, but not when they sang?
Because it was a live appearance and 500 people watched it. And we thought it gonna be like a family happiness party, but it wasn't.
One night, Fab was chilling in his hotel room. He saw a Milli Vanilli impersonation on TV mocking their accents.
Vanilli?
I am always Vanilli.
No, but you can't be Vanilli 2 days straight.
That's when he knew. Their secret was hanging by a thread. Finally, the day came. This man, Charles Shaw, he was one of the real singers behind Milli Vanilli, finally spilled the beans. He said Rob and Fab never sang a single note. And the most surprised thing was, their producer, Frank, backed it up.
We're just young kids, you know, thrown to the wolves, not really knowing how to react because there was no support system at the time. No one was there to protect us.
Isn't that weird? Frank created this group, so why would he tell the truth and ruin it? Milli Vanilli was huge back then and made him a lot of money. Rob Pilatus was born in Munich to an African-American father and a German mother, but he spent for years in an orphanage when he was really young. Rob said he faced a lot of racism from his classmates. They used to call him Kunta Kint. He was the African hero from the movie Roots. After leaving his adoptive home, Rob worked as a model and break dancer. In 1988, he met Fab Morvan in Munich. Fab, from Paris, was also a model and dancer. Since they both grew up in European cities where there weren't many black people and had similar childhood experiences, they became friends instantly. They started a short-lived group called Empire Bazaar and released a single, Dances, in 1988. It sold a few copies but still couldn't pay the bills, so they kept working as fashion models and dancers to make ends meet and keep chasing their dream of becoming famous singers. Then, by a stroke of luck, Frank Farian discovered them. Frank had been a chef before, but he'd always dreamed of being a singer, so he started a band called Frankie Boys Shatten. He was a huge fan of black music, but people kept telling him, no, you can't do that because you're white. Those comments really got to Frank, so when he became a producer, he set out to find black singers to prove he could make it. He started a few groups, and the most successful one before Milli Vanilli was Boney M. When Frank saw Rob and Fab performing in a club, he invited them to a studio to check out a demo of Girl You Know It's True and promised he'd make them millionaires. It was the first time Rob and Fab had seen such a professional music studio with so many top-notch musicians. Eager to make it big and escape their financial struggles, they agreed. On January 1st, 1988, they signed a contract with Frank to record 10 songs a year. But the catch was, Rob and Fab didn't get any legal advice and didn't fully understand the contract at the time. Fab said the contract was really thick, but they didn't dig into the details, so they missed the red flags. Anyway, that's how Milli Vanilli came to be. During the recording sessions, Frank wasn't thrilled with how Rob and Fab sounded.
Not bad.
So, he brought in 3 session singers, Charles Shaw, John Davis, and Brad Howell, to handle the vocals while Rob and Fab just lip-synced. At first, Rob and Fab were against it, but Frank had already handed them $5,000 each. That money was crucial for their rent, food, and clothes. They couldn't afford to pay it back. So, they reluctantly agreed to the plan, just to get by. Actually, for Frank, it wasn't about their singing, he was more interested in their looks and dance moves. The contract even had a clause that forced them to lip-sync, leaving Rob and Fab with little choice. When their debut album, Girl You Know It's True, which turned into a huge hit worldwide, Milli Vanilli skyrocketed to fame, but backing out of their deal with Frank became increasingly difficult. Thanks to that album, Milli Vanilli snagged the Grammy Award for Best New Artist and 3 American Music Awards in 1990. After first album, Rob and Fab always pressured him to let them sing on the next album, which made Frank mad, so he revealed the truth to the public. Frank had done the same with his previous group, Boney M, using talented vocalists behind the scenes while putting good-looking performers on stage. When the scandal broke, Milli Vanilli was slammed by public outrage. It turned out that Girl You Know It's True was originally by a local American group called New Marks. Frank had discovered the song at a nightclub, he really liked it, and made some tweaks before releasing it. What's even more interesting was that on the first album, Rob and Fab's names weren't listed on the European version. Instead, the credits went to Charles and other vocalists, while Rob and Fab's names appeared only on the American version. Back to Charles, he had heard the song before working with Frank, but stayed silent because he was well paid. Some say he waited a year to expose the truth because he was jealous of Milli Vanilli's sudden success and felt he wasn't paid enough. After Frank gave him another $150,000, Charles took back his accusation. Later, Milli Vanilli held a press conference, even showing a video of themselves singing to prove they could actually perform.
To make it all mine is my desire. To set content equality that I admire.
You know it's true.
Despite their apology and attempts to explain, many fans felt duped and sued Rob and Fab. Over 26 lawsuits were filed in the US, and the court ordered refunds for anyone who bought the album. Milli Vanilli's Grammy Award was also stripped. It's a historic first. Arista Records dropped them and removed their album and songs from their catalog, making Girl You Know It's True the best-selling album ever pulled from print. Fab said that once The Secret came out, he finally felt a sense of relief.
At first it was relief. It was like I can walk free. I don't have to carry that secret on my back.
But for Rob, even he also felt guilt and knew this day would come, but he was unprepared for the avalanche of blame he faced. It was far worse than he ever imagined. Meanwhile, Frank didn't see himself as having done anything wrong. The following year, he tried to launch a new group, The Real Milli Vanilli, featuring the original session singers, except Charles. In 1992, Rob and Fab signed with a new label, Taj, and released an album with their own voices. Unfortunately, it sold only around 2,000 copies, and the label went bankrupt shortly after. Rob's life took a dark turn. He faced severe issues like assault, vandalism, attempted robbery, and drug problems. He spent 3 months in prison and another 6 months in rehab. Tragically, in 1998, Rob was found dead from an overdose of alcohol and prescription drugs in a hotel room in Friedrichsdorf. He was just 33. Fab, on the other hand, kept pushing forward. He worked as a singer, public speaker, and DJ, and even released a solo album. In 2018, he performed with John Davis, one of Milli Vanilli's real vocalists. Even now, when Fab talks about Milli Vanilli, he emphasizes that they genuinely wanted to sing.
Thank you for watching. If you love this video, please give it a like and share it with your friends. We always update cool videos, so subscribe to us to get the latest information.